Hello, everyone. I'm Katherine Johnston, and thank you for watching my video today on digital photography. I just realized that this is backwards from what you're seeing. I have no idea why, but just follow along with your handout if you would. Um, I will start off to talk about the first uh, photograph that was ever taken, and it was credited to Joseph Neefsey. Um, he used a technique that he derived from experimenting with a newly invented lithography process, and he took this photo right outside his home in 1826. This is the photo that he took. On the left side is what he got whenever he took his photo, and the one on the right is basically the same thing, but a few years later, I would imagine, because it's much more clear. A few years later, in 1836, using the same process, Robert Cornelius took the first photo of himself, which today we know as the selfie. So you would just thought that these selfies were taken from camera phones, but no. Way back in the 1800s, he has us beat. There was a book written by George Orwell, and it was entitled 1984, because he, in this fictional book, he talked about the Big Brother, if you will, the government spying on people, and little did he know that we are kind of seeing this thing today to come to pass. It happened way before 84, but just goes to show you that haven't imagined back then, and who knows. I kind of think of the show The Jetsons, if you remember, way back when I was little. You know, they had the flying saucer and the robot that cleaned the house. Well, we have those kind of things today, so it's no surprising that they probably thought it was unimaginable back then, it being a cartoon, but today nothing surprises, unfortunately. In 1948, we had the invention of the instant camera, and it's I don't know, I don't even know how to describe what it looks like to me, but Edwin Land, who was an American scientist, came up with this, and a few years later, down in 1972, we have a Polaroid camera that might look a little bit more familiar to some people. This is kind of what the picture Polaroid that we had as I was growing up. My dad used to take pictures of my mom and I on Sunday mornings before church. Mom would make me a new dress, and I'd get that Polaroid out, and that's the kind of thing I had growing up. In 1975, we have the first prototype digital camera by Sony with a resolution of 0.01 megapixel, and it was the size of a toaster, of all things. In 81, Magvica was the first still video camera by Sony. Next slide, please. The National Geographic, they actually put a photo on the front of their magazine of the pyramids of Giza, and they wanted to take the convoy of the animals there in the front, and the mountains were the pyramids were too far apart. They put them together just to try to make their magazine cover better, but it didn't work out too well for them. So even back then, photographs were altered, and so today there is a very, it's harder actually to tell whether or not a magazine has been altered, but it's just so easy. Even you and I can do it, even when we don't mean to. Next slide, please. 1994, Apple had the QuickTake 100, which was the first mass produced color camera, and it sold for $749. 1995, Kodak had the DC-40, and it sold for roughly $1,000. 96, Sony came up with the Cybershot, and it sold for about $500. Some of these may look familiar, and who knows, you may still have one at your house. Here are a few statistics. I'm going to go over these real quick. The DSCs and the digital single lens reflex, the DSLR, cameras work in much the same way as a traditional still camera works. Inside the camera's body is a mirror that reflects the light coming from the lens up to an optical viewfinder by way of either a prism or a series of additional mirrors. Next slide, please. I'm not too good with this thing. The lens and the shutter allow light from the camera into the camera based on the aperture and exposure time. The difference is that the light reacts with an image sensor, usually a charged coupled device sensor, a complementary metal oxide semiconductor, which is the CMOS sensor, or the newer live MOS sensor. The number of thousands of pixels on any given sensor is referred to as a megapixel. I'm sorry, I get real tongue-tied real easy. The sensors themselves can be different sizes. Next slide, please. The pixel, known as a digital photosite, digital photography as a photosite can only record light in shades of gray, not color. In order to produce color images, each photosite is covered with a series of red, green, and blue filters, a technology derived from the broadcast industry. Each filter, next slide please, each filter lets specific wavelengths of light pass through according to the color of the filter, blocking the rest. Based on a process of mathematical interpolations, each pixel is then assigned a color. And because this is done in millions of pixels at one time, it requires a great deal of computer processing. The image processor in a DSC must interpolate, preview, capture, compress, filter, store, transfer, and display the image in a very short period of time. This image processing hardware and software is not exclusive to DSCs or DSLRs, as this technology has continued to improve the image capture capacities of the camera phone. Some factors to watch. Next slide, please. Intel says that chips will continue to get denser over the next decade or so, even as costs continue to rise. Isn't that just right? Also, look for changes in chip design, such as the use of stacked sensors, as well as other advances designed for specific applications to keep the process going. Next slide, please. This is fun. Here, a few statistics. In 2000, Sharp came along with the J phone. It was, I guess, because of the shape. I'm not sure why they call it that. It was released in Japan. It was the first mobile phone that could take a photo. And it looks to me like a big house phone in this photo. I haven't seen one in person. The first phone that could take first mobile phone that could take photos. The lens, sensor quality, and processing power have made the mobile phone the go-to camera for most of the images captured today, which is true. Who uses a camera anymore, right? Next slide. An example of the improved image capture technology in mobile phones can be found in the Sony Exmor RS. It's equipped with a 22.5 megapixel stacked sensor. The Exmor RS is the first mobile phone that used phase detection autofocus pixels that are stacked on the phone's imaging sensors. Next slide. Let me go back to the other one. If you will notice, this photo and this photo is the same thing, but it's much better. See how it just goes much better. It's cleaner. Okay, next slide. Progression of the camera phone. Now, I thought this was fun because it might bring back a bunch of old memories for you that maybe as old as I am, that have had a few camera phones in her day. The Sanyo SCP-5300 was the first camera phone. And it did have very low quality images, but hey, if you had one of these, everybody wanted to be your friend because you always had a phone wherever you wanted to take a picture. We come to the Palm One Trio. It's one of the IT gadgets from 2003 to 2004 until the Blackberries took them. I think I had one of these. Either I had one or my boss had one. Looks very familiar to me. Next slide, Blackberry. I never did have a Blackberry. I did have a Nokia. Blackberry was the first color screen. Next slide, the Nokia 6630, the Nokia 6680. I'm going to scroll through these. I just thought you might want to see them. The HTC Universal, I don't think I've ever seen one of these. The BlackBerry Pearl, I did have one of those. And today, the Pearl is still being offered on the market. I guess because it's such a pretty finish. It kind of looks like the pearl paint on the newer cars that you see today. The Samsung Blackjack. I had one of these. I did not know that they got sued. Research Emotions sued Samsung over the name. Not shocking there. The iPhone. The iPhone was released in June of 2007. Next slide, the iPhone 3G. All apps can be purchased in the App Store. And then here we go to 2018. We have the iPhone XS. What I think is very amusing is the fact that the phones were small. You started off with flip phones. Then you went to a little bit larger phone. The iPhones, I can remember when those come out, they were small and slim. Everybody liked them because they fit in your pocket easy. And now everybody wants the big phones again. I don't want one of those myself. Have a tablet for that. But anyway, everybody has their own preference. The evolution of the mobile phone. Now, I do realize this has nothing to do with cameras, but I just thought it was neat. The one on the left here, they started out really, really big. I had a car phone, a bag phone. Not many people had those. But this right here is actually showing the progression of the iPhone sizes. As you can see, they got smaller, bigger, larger, small again. Next slide. Let's go into the social media statistics. Approximately 80% of photos captured on cell phones are ultimately shared. Snapchat, 8,796 photos uploaded per second. That's per second. Think about that. WhatsApp? I've never heard of that one. 700 million uploaded a day. Facebook, 350 million photos uploaded a day. Wow. Instagram, 70 million uploaded a day. That's amazing. Amazing. Nobody really goes and has their photos printed really anymore. You take them, you upload them to the cloud, you have them forever. What I don't like about that is you really don't go back and look at them like you would in a photo album. I guess I'm a little old school, but I do it. I print the ones from vacation, but I upload everything else on the cloud. Next slide, selfie takers. The average age of the selfie takers: female 23.7 years and male 28 years. That's shocking to me, but hey, 62.8% are taken and posted by women. Yep, this is my son and my husband. They're probably waiting on me. I'm in a store, I would imagine, because that's what my husband always does. Anyway, next slide. According to 2015 study conducted in London, images shared on social media platforms confirms that everyone is participating in surveillance, including self-participation by Self City. 5.6% of all images taken in the city and posted on Instagram are selfies, while another 20% are portraits. Wow. The social surveillance trend with facial recognition technology, and it's easy to see how someone could be tagged or tracked very easily. Now just think about this. In fact, your face doesn't even need to be in the photograph to be tagged. As new experimental algorithms are being used in Facebook's artificial intelligence lab, it can detect your presence in an image via other means. The algorithm uses different clues and looks for unique characteristics like your hairdo, your clothing, your body shape, your pose. This is scary. Remember the book I told you about earlier, Big Brother. Next slide, facial recognition technology. A face, like I said, doesn't need to be in a photo to be tracked. Facebook's artificial intelligence lab. Like I said, it's you can be tagged whether or not you're in a photo, like your face is actually in the photo or not. The picture here in the corner, this person on the side, even though his face is not really showing up, they could probably still tell who he is. They can look at this person to see if he's in any other photos. I think maybe that's how they get started. I'm not sure, but either way, it's proven that even though you don't really want anyone to know all this information about you, we're doing it to ourselves. So hence, we're all Big Brother. We're all doing it to ourselves. Next slide. Auto detection clothing. As image recognition algorithm improves and makes their way into the industry en masse, privacy abuses are sure to follow. So far, government and privacy advocates have had little success in determining a code of conduct for this encroaching technology. The CV Dazzle project's goal is to break apart the gestalt of face or object and make it undetectable to computer vision algorithms, in particularly face detection. The project's name is part acronym CV for computer vision and part WW1 strategy, as Dazzle refers to the camouflage used to deconstruct the gestalt image of a warship. It's an ongoing collaboration between hairstylists, makeup artists, and fashion designers, exploring how fashion can be used to camouflage from face detection technology. Next, the number of digital images taken each year. 2010, 350 billion. Wow. 2017, approximately 1 trillion, and 75% on cell phones. Wow. Every 2 minutes, more photos than ever existed in total than 150 years ago. More than 90% of all photos were from cell phones. Of the estimated 1 trillion images taken in 2015, it's estimated that 657 billion of them were uploaded to a social media site. You can't hide. Even if you hide your face, you can still be successfully linked to your identity. Next slide. Something to think about. Are you participating in surveillance? How many selfies have you posted in the past month? 5.6% of all images taken in the city and posted on Instagram are selfies. 20% are portraits. Next slide. Digital images of any sort, from family photographs to medical x-rays to geosatellite images, can be treated as data. And every pixel, everything, it's just data. That's all it is. It's just data. This ability to take, scan, manipulate, disseminate, track, or store images in a digital format has spawned major changes in communication technology industry. 20th century is known to the jump to the screen phenomenon, which I guess is you take it, you put it on your computer. Analog images such as film rolls, no more, or soon to be no more. Next slide, video and mobile apps. As of March 2017, there were 2.8 million available apps at Google Play Store and 2.2 million apps available at Apple's App Store. By 2020, mobile apps are forecast to generate around $189 billion in revenue. That's just in the U.S. via app stores and in-app advertising. Incremental improvements. One is digital sensor improvement, demonstrated by the way the camera sensors continue to increase resolution capacity. Canon's EOS DSR has a full-frame CMOS sensor with a resolution of 50.6 megapixels. The new Canon prototype that is not yet available to the public boasts a 250 megapixel APS-H, Advanced Photo System Type-C sensor. Improvements. Camera hardware and software improvements continue to evolve, as do apps for the manipulation, distribution, and sharing images across many electronic platforms. This is so cool. A gigapixel camera is being developed in Chile at the Large Synoptic Survey Telescope project. This 3.2 gigapixel camera will be the world's largest camera and is expected to be completed in 2022. Each panoramic snapshot that the LSST captures will show an area 40 times the size of a full moon. Okay, I have a couple more slides. This is how far we've come. You can purchase a Pogo Cam. And I'm just going to point, this is a little camera right here on the side of you can just put it on your glasses. $46.86 is Amazon. Wow, this is crazy. And one more, the 8 gigabyte lens, completely invisible camera hole without any pin or lens hole on site. And you can also get this on Amazon. Now for the question, what do you think about Big Brother watching you? Not the TV show, but Big Brother, the government, whatever you think Big Brother is. Have we gone too far? What do you think about this? Where are we going with it? And you just better be careful because Big Brother just may be watching you. Thanks everyone. Thanks for watching. I know this was long. I'm sorry, but I didn't really know what to leave out. So anyway, there you have it. Thanks. I'll look for your questions.